Welcome to a special Legal AF Hot Take with Dina and Michael Popok. Came up with another topic we thought you'd be interested in. Hunter Biden, two ways. We got Hunter Biden, who's threatening to sue Fox for revenge porn because they were going to come up with some fake documentary or some day in the life of Hunter Biden with actors that was going to rely on certain pictures and images that they got from the laptop, perhaps, that they were then going to show in the mini series, including of his private parts. Why are we talking about Hunter Biden's private parts at all? Why is Fox News talking about that? But we got a cease and desist letter, a lawsuit, and potentially a retraction. But we're not done with Hunter Biden, because speaking of phony things on the laptop, the infamous laptop, we got a Secret Service agent, or a former one, Mr. Savage. This part of the story, Savage, who's going to sue Fox News as well, because there were some implications made by them and then picked up by MAGA right wing, like James Comer of the Oversight Committee, that the Secret Service was like pumping the brakes on the investigation to help out the president's son, and they weren't properly investigating Hunter Biden. You know, all that BS about the IRS went light on him, and the Secret Service did him a solid, and all of that. Well, Savage has had enough, and he's now suing over what he claims to be fake and phony emails on the maybe not genuine laptop that Hunter Biden purportedly left behind at some repair station that got Trump and Giuliani all hot and bothered about the Hunter Biden laptop. Are you confused? You shouldn't be, but we're going to break it all down with my colleague on this hot take, Dina. Dina, let's talk about revenge porn and the Hunter Biden cease and desist letter.
Oh, so much there. I mean, just the revenge porn alone. I mean, I think it's ironic that one of the things that he's threatening to sue over is like an exploitation claim, right? We each have a right of publicity. A famous person has a right of publicity. And he's saying that they're using their image, his image, for commercial purposes that has not been consented to. And this is against Fox News, right? It's a news organization. For the most part, when a news organization uses images, it's because it's for the news and it's fair use and you can use it for that purpose. So for him to be claiming it's because of commercial use, I think just goes to show like how far Fox has gone from straight news, because I think he's got a good argument there. They were doing a 6-part mock trial around him and using these images, but like you said, whether they're real or not real, for commercial purposes. And to that, there are laws around using people's images for commercial purposes if you're not paying them for it. And so I thought that was kind of a very ironic and very telling about where we are with Fox News today. And then just the straight, defamation claim. And just to kind of reiterate, defamation with public figures. When you talk about a public figure like Hunter Biden or anybody else in the public eye, it's much harder to win a claim. And public figures tend not to bring lawsuits because you have to prove malice. You have to prove that the newspaper or the entity knew what they were saying was a lie or had reckless disregard to the truth. It's a very hard standard to prove. But as we're seeing in the era of MAGA and Trump and Fox just being so willing to lie, we saw a defamation lawsuit paying nearly $1 billion against, that they had to pay Dominion for the lies, that these claims are more easily won when, Fox and their peers are more willing to lie. So good for Hunter Biden for kind of taking to task a news organization who's willing to lie about him and willing to use images, fake or not, for their own commercial use.
How little content does Fox have that they have to pay actors to recreate fake and defamatory stories that involve revenge porn about the president's son? Have we sunk this low? I mean, it's a rhetorical question. Yes, we've sunk this low that we now have to manufacture and fabricate fake stories, make them look like real stories. Like I joke when I do some hot takes, when I do my version of the judge or my version of a witness, I'll say this is the artist rendering. The judge didn't actually use the F-bomb when he made the comment. But I mean, this is what Fox News is down to. And kudos to Hunter Biden and the lawyers now that he's hired around him. And he's now got a smaller group of lawyers and new lawyers around him that are fighting back. I mean, Hunter hit the canvas a couple of times in all the attacks that he took. You know, it started with the reporting in Delaware when the whole plea deal fell apart that would have resulted in no jail time for him. From that moment forward, you know, he hit the canvas a couple of times with some haymaker punches that were thrown by MAGA, by the prosecution, by the U.S. Attorney's Office, by the appointment of a special counsel, by Merrick Garland, because, you know, God forbid the Department of Justice handles anything without, you know, delegating it and outsourcing it to a special counsel, especially when Joe Biden is involved. And then, you know, there was a moment in time when it looked like Hunter was just going to go the route everybody goes, which is don't talk much. But no, he hired good lawyers, and now they are fighting back. They're going after the Oversight Committee. They're going after people like Fox that are defaming, as you outlined, Dina, defaming him, using pornographic imagery in order to profit, and the like. And then we've got the story turning to Mr. Savage, formerly a Secret Service agent. He's had enough too about him being lied about by Fox News, and he's suing them as well over them reporting that there were emails which are fake on the laptop that may or may not be genuine of Hunter Biden, claiming that there was a close relationship between the two of them and that the Secret Service, under the control of the Department of Homeland Security, under Joe Biden, took it easy on Hunter Biden. Anybody watching this prosecution, now led by the special counsel out in LA, thinks that they're going easy? What does hard mean, going hard on Joe Biden's son? Because I mean, I've never seen such a thing. So let's talk about Savage. What you learn from unpacking that story as we put the two things and fit the two things together in sort of defense of Hunter Biden.
Yeah, it's interesting. So Robert Savage is suing the New York Post, the Daily Mail, maybe Fox, around this idea that you said that these fake email exchange that he supposedly had with Hunter Biden that was completely manufactured on the laptop. Hunter Biden has testified under oath. He never met him. He didn't know him. The Secret Service agent has said he was a Secret Service agent for like 25 years or something like that, said that this was completely fabricated. He didn't know him. The phone number that was evidently associated with this exchange between the two of them was one of those like numbers that you can get over the internet that had zero association with them. And the law enforcement had investigated this a long time ago. And one of the kind of interesting things that have come out in the defamation, because again, he has to prove malice because of this public interest, this public nature of this thing. And he's saying that this was a reckless disregard, that they should have known that this was not true. And he's saying that essentially that he's talking about the IRS whistleblower and how he was somebody who came and helped investigate this when it first came out, and that evidently the FBI has known since like 2022 that this was not a valid exchange between the two of them, which is really interesting because we just had, you know, the plea deal that fell apart and the prosecutors trying to tell the judge, we have a ton of evidence to back this up. But if they all knew that the computer was only having this fake text exchange, where is that evidence? And the fact that he filed this lawsuit, people are thinking that it's going to reveal the fact that they have known for a long time that what was on the laptop was fabricated. And the thing that's great about the court of law rather than Congress or even just the court of opinion, as we know, and as we're seeing what's happening with Trump in New York, is you can't get around subpoenas of documents and, subpoenas of witnesses to come testify. So we might actually get to the bottom of the fabricated evidence on this laptop that, and all these allegations that the MAGAs have been making around this. The fact that the defamation lawsuit in particular is saying that what was on that laptop was not true. The people he's suing is going to have to try to prove that it is, and he isn't. And so I think we're finally going to maybe really have that truth come to light in a way that you just can't get around once it's actually in the court of law.
Yeah, and Hunter and his lawyers have been making the argument. So far, it's fallen on deaf ears with the judge in trying to dismiss it at the beginning, to dismiss the indictment, that there is a problem with the prosecution's case, not only vindictive or selective prosecution, but just that the facts that were provided to the grand jury that indicted were improper, were wrong, were fabricated, and that the prosecution has an obligation at the highest levels of ethics and prosecutorial conduct not to do that. You can't base your indictment on fake and phony information. I sound a little bit like Donald Trump here, but here the facts matter, and what the prosecutors have presented to the grand jury matters. And I think sooner rather than later, the lawyers for Hunter Biden will be getting their hands on the grand jury presentation and the grand jury witness statements and make a determination whether they have the grounds to move to dismiss the indictment because of prosecutorial misconduct. It's all in play. We're just reporting on some symptomatic things, but the disease has to be addressed by Hunter, and that's what we're watching. And I think the takeaway for this particular hot take for me, Dina, is that it lets our audience know that Hunter is not only believes strongly that he's not guilty of any of these crimes, but that there is prosecutorial misconduct at play. And he is finally, over the last 6 months, doing something he hadn't done before, fighting back and not being a human piñata for the Fox Newses of the world to profit on, pictures that may or may not be of his genitalia. I can't believe I have to talk about that on the MeidasTouch network, but I do. And with Dina Dahl. Dina, last thoughts about either of them and how it impacts Hunter Biden's ability to either defend the case or get the indictment dismissed against him?
Well, I think, like you said, him fighting back. I mean, truth is a defense. It's a complete defense to defamation. So for him to file this, it really shows that it is not true, these claims against him. It's a very strong, bold move. And I can't help but think about all of Trump's defamation lawsuits he's tried to bring, the $500,000 lawsuit against CNN, the lawsuit against New York Times. He was just ordered to pay the New York Times like hundreds of $1,000s of legal fees. He's had to pay almost $1 million of sanctions for the frivolous lawsuits he's brought. He tries to use defamation and the legal system actually as a weapon, right? This is what he claims has been used against him. He always turns it around. He's been doing that for years. And it hasn't worked because truth is a defense, or sometimes in those cases, an opinion was only said and not a fact, and that's a defense. But here we have a case. The fact that Hunter Biden is willing to bring it, knowing truth is an absolute defense, shows that he's willing to kind of like have them put their facts where their mouth is, so to speak, and show the world that what they're saying about him is not true.
Dina, we're starting to do more of these, and it's one of the high points of my day. The city is so excited, you can hear the sirens outside. Dina Dahl and Michael Popok back together again. You're back in California. I'm in New York. But, you and I committed off the last time to do more of these, and we will. And I think we try to find unique topics for our unique, different perspectives about things and bring it all together right here on a hot take and an analytic. Only on the MeidasTouch network, only on Legal AF. Follow Dina Dahl wherever you can find her. She's on TikTok. She's on Instagram. She's a contributor, a frequent contributor on the MeidasTouch network with and without Francis Bacon. I almost called him Francis Bacon. Francis Maxwell. Boy, I just showed my age, with or without Copernicus or Einstein. And
It's
now,
all good, Michael.
and it's all good. Yeah, right. And then, of course, here, and we're going to have you on Legal AF too, Dina. I'd like to have you on probably the midweek show in the near future. So until all of our next hot takes and our contributions to the MeidasTouch and the MeidasTouch Network and Legal AF, Michael Popok and
Dina Dahl.
Dina Dahl reporting. Heary, heary. Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know, and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.